everybody, my name is Cheryl. Welcome back to More Pirate Makes. And no, my machine still isn't out of the shop. They're not open on Sunday, so I'm going to call them tomorrow. But I'm pretty impatient to start sewing. So what I thought I would do today is see how much sewing I can get done using the cover stitch function on my serger. I've got a pair of pants that need to be hemmed. I know I'm going to be able to do that pretty easily, though they are for myself, so I haven't hemmed pants for myself before. I'm not quite sure how even the hem's going to end up because I'm going to have to put them on and try to figure out how much length I need to take off, which I think might be difficult. And then I've got a couple other things that I think I will be able to do on the serger, so let's get started. Also, I just have to note that I think I'm getting sick again. I've been pretty much low level sick since January. It's not really normal for me. I'm pretty fed up with it. My throat feels bad. I've got constant drainage. I don't know if it's allergies or I just keep getting colds or something, but I do apologize if I sound like crap, but what can you do? So let's head over to the serger and see what we can get done. Actually, first let's take a look at these khakis. I bought them for work. They're a little bit tight. Because the 14s I had bought last month or the month before were a little bit big, I went with 12s, and they are a little bit tight, especially in the waist. But I think they're pretty stretchy, so they are comfortable. And I think I need to bring them up 2 inches. So let's start with these. So actually the first thing I need to do is switch out my threads. So I currently have it on a triple cover stitch, and that's because the last thing I did on this machine was hem a pair of pants for a client, and those were made out of quite a thick like sweatshirt material. I'm gonna go down to a double cover stitch, I think, or narrow cover stitch. And then it just will walk you through the screen. This is the Pfaff Admire Air 7000, and the screen will walk you through what threads you need. So you need to load the first 2 and the last cone here. So I've got 1 extra. I also don't want to use gray. And then it'll also walk you through the adjustments that you need for each part. So let's get the threads switched out. I also don't have a good color match for all of the projects that I think that I'm going to get through today, but I've just kind of picked what seems like it would be the best as far as sort of just like disappearing into the fabric would be. I'm not actually going to switch out this bottom thread. I'm just going to switch out the top 2. I know a lot of people recommend like you tie your threads together. I don't find switching out the thread on my serger or cover stitch machine that difficult, so that's not really something I ever worry about. But I've got a more modern machine, and it does have some threading assistance with the air and the tubes and stuff. Are they pneumatic? So I've chosen a light yellow and a light pink, and then the bottom thread is a light purple, and I just think that this will be sufficient. I need to remove a needle. I think I have to go get my threading guide. Oh no, it'll tell you here. So we need our needles in C and D, and we currently have needles in C, D, and E. And I'm just going to put that back in the needle case. So these are my hemming clips. I bought them on Amazon. I've decided to remove 2 inches. But you also have to consider the fact that you need to hem. I'm going to remove 1 inch. You can see that these hem clips have a measure. So it starts here at 0. And then I'm going to cut off here. This is actually the seam line for the hem. So I'm just gonna cut there. We're gonna use the scraps to try and make sure I threaded the machine correctly. And yeah, that looks good. I'm happy enough with the color choice. I don't think it's going to be that noticeable all the way down at my hem of my pants. So this fabric is way stretchier than I thought it was. So that's nice. I should iron these up, huh? I'm gonna set up my iron, and then I'm going to iron up 1/2 inch. So we cut off 1 inch, we need to get rid of 1 more inch. So I'm gonna iron up 1/2 inch and then 1/2 inch more. I set it on the narrow hem, so that's fine. I don't think these really like need the deep hem. It's too late anyways. I cut it off. So it's very gloomy outside, and I'm very tired. They turned out just fine, and yeah, I don't think that you're gonna notice the colors when they're worn. So that's easy. All I've got to do now is weave in all my ends. I'm not sure what the best method is for weaving in the ends of your cover stitch. I usually just kind of pull these front threads through to the back and then weave them in like they were serger threads, or basically the way you do for knitting or anything else. So if you know of a better way, please let me know. It is a little tedious and can be sort of a mental block for serging. Okay, but now we've got that out of the way, and let's move on to the next thing. I am pretty happy to be sewing. So I'll just start this out to say that these are clean because I bought them and then I washed them, and when I took them out, I guess they used like some sort of sewing tape, had completely unraveled. I don't know if there's supposed to be a stitch here or not. They're from Target. They're the Auden brand. But you can see that there are little stitches at the corners, but nothing across this seam here at the back of the gusset. So I just need to stitch right across there and hope that the feeling isn't too annoying. The stitching is more noticeable on this one, but not enough to bother me. Next, we have that coral skirt. The first thing I need to do is cut out the old elastic. It looks like the serger area where it was cover stitched on goes all the way through and is structural. So I think I'm just going to cut the elastic off and not cut the stitching. I'm gonna grab my scissors. In case you didn't watch that episode or you don't remember, I got this skirt from the thrift store and the elastic is completely worn out. Let's see if you can hear the elastic tearing. Yeah, it's just completely crunchy and old. So that's cut out. And now we can measure for the new elastic. I pretty much wear everything at my natural waist. Anything higher makes me feel really claustrophobic, And then if I'm gonna go lower, honestly, I like a 90s low rise and not anything like in between. So for this skirt, we're gonna go natural waist, which in this top, you can see really clearly. And I don't want it to be snug. It doesn't need to snatch me in or anything. Just make sure we have enough to go around the waist. And now I'm gonna find the center point. I'm gonna line that up with the center front of the skirt. And for this skirt, the elastic was kind of free and loose and just attached to the seam. I'm going to sew this elastic to the facing. So here we find the center front, and now I'm going to pin the elastic center front to the skirt, and I'm going to sew it high up close to where the seam was. Now I'm going to pin the ends to the edge where they'll need to. This actually, I think I need to remove some length because you can see that from the center front to the edge there is not really any tension on the elastic, and there should be some tension. So I think I'm going to maybe take off an inch from each side. And now when I cover stitch, I'm just going to make sure I put some gentle tension in each section to have the elastic sewn flat. Before I trim the elastic or sew in any ends, I do want to try them on, the skirt on, and I'll also go ahead and try on the pants. Okay, so here is the new length of the pants. I hope you can see. I think that with shoes on, they are going to be just fine. I probably could have taken them up, honestly, another ½ inch. So here's the new fit of the skirt. It definitely fits better than it did before I moved the elastic. However, I think because the fabric is quite thin, you can see every single seam line. So this is the old seam, that surged seam that I do think is structural. And then here you can see the width of the new elastic. And you can even see right here, this is where the facing ends. So, I think that the solution for this, I'm not really sure, because if you look at the inside, this surged seam, which is what you can see first off at this top edge, and the top edge still seems quite loose as well. But this seam, I do think is, maybe not. I'm going to unpick this. So here's the options. Step one, I'm going to unpick this seam to get rid of the extra old elastic. If that was structural, I'll have to reattach the facing and then maybe make the facing into a channel for the elastic. and then the elastic just won't be sewn onto the, or move the elastic up so that it actually sits back in the seam. I think that's what I'll have to do. So yeah, I've got to do a lot of unpicking. So let's get started with that. I also do think that the elastic needs to be shorter. I've unpicked the new elastic and I unpicked the old elastic. So that skirt and I need a little bit of a break now. It's a big mess too. I need to clean up all the threads. So here is the last thing I had in my potential, is one of these little camisoles, little, I don't know what you call them. Anyway, so I'm going to try to put elastic in the back. I'm getting really tired and I need to edit this, and it's already not as long as I thought it was going to be. It's gray outside and it's gray in my brain today. Okay, so I think I need to bring this in pretty significantly, if I remember correctly, like a good couple inches. And I am going to try to use, I found I had some of this elastic. It's for underwear, like the legs of underwear. And I thought that this was just going to be really nice and soft to wear against my skin. My skin's very sensitive. So let's try that. Hopefully this is like strong enough to bring in the back of that top. Okay, so that was also a fail, a big fail. It looks really bad. I don't know. I think the weather's really gotten to me. I'm just not feeling well. I'm going to unpick this because if I don't do it now, I'll probably never get around to it. And I think I'm done sewing for the day. Successes, pants, underwear. Fails, skirt, top. Okay, I'm not sure how much of that filming is going to be usable. My microphone was off and I ran out of battery at some point. But can you see how this pokes up at the back? I think I need to do some hand sewing here to get the elastic into those corners and try to kind of fuss around with that. But I think overall it's okay. It definitely hugs my belly, which isn't my favorite, but also it's not a deal breaker for me. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And it can go in the hand sewing pile until I have the mental capacity for that, which is definitely not today. So I think for today we are done with the Coverstitch machine. Okay, that's it. I'm exhausted. I'm gonna go take a nap. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I don't even know. I'm gonna take a nap and then edit this, and hopefully it'll be up tomorrow. If not, it might be up Tuesday. This one's a mess and I do apologize. I am definitely getting sick and I'm definitely too tired. I need to probably eat something before I edit as well. And so we will see how that goes. Did I already say like, comment, and subscribe? Okay. I will see you next time.